Right now at 10, not ready to reopen.
We're making progress, but we're not there yet.
Despite a downward trend in COVID cases, Governor Ige says the fight is far from over.
Every senator is hearing from every governor about the need to do this.
How Congress can play a role in preventing furloughs and pay cuts. Plus,
tonight, an inside look at the facility that is now housing homeless individuals who are waiting their test for COVID-19 or are COVID positive.
My youngest daughter was like, "Dad, just shave it, Dad. I'll shave it for you."
Hawaii haircut needs are growing weeks into the stay-at-home order.
From across the islands on KGMB and KHNL, this is your source for breaking news. Hawaii News Now at 10.
With only 11 new cases, the curve is looking a lot like this instead of like this. And that's a great testament to your perseverance and your self-sacrifice.
Today's new cases come from Oahu and Maui, bringing the state total now to 541. Even with Hawaii seeing a slow drop in new cases, Governor Ige says it's not enough to consider reopening the state.
Today, we received the revised guidelines for reopening from the president. Unfortunately, at this time, we don't satisfy the criteria for a phased opening.
President Donald Trump initially said he would decide when states would reopen, but today said it would be each governor's call. Despite a nationwide unemployment high, Governor Ige says we are not ready to restart the economy. Our Chelsea Davis joins us tonight with more details. Chelsea.
Yes, Governor Ige says reopening requires a downward trajectory of cases over a 14-day period. So far, Hawaii has only had 2 consecutive days where the case count has dropped.
President Donald Trump issued guidelines to governors today on a phased reopening of their states, but he says they won't be forced to follow them.
It's going to be up to the governors. We're going to work with them. We're going to help them, but it's going to be up to the governors. Our approach outlines 3 phases in restoring our economic life. We are not opening all at once, but one careful step at a time.
Governor David Ige says Hawaii still has some work to do.
Unfortunately, at this time, we don't satisfy the criteria for a phased opening. It requires a downward trajectory of cases for a 14-day period. We're making progress, but we're not there yet. So please continue your hard work and perseverance. We will get through this together.
While Hawaii is making progress in the fight against COVID-19, numbers from the state health department show the drop is on a downward trajectory, but it's not consistent. Honolulu's mayor is also in no rush to lift the stay-at-home orders. Kurt Caldwell says it will be a deliberate process of gradual changes.
This is not about ripping off the Band-Aid. As we go forward over many, many months, the stay-at-home work-at-home order will remain in place, but it will be modified. I believe that we're going to be wearing masks for a long time. And I believe we're not going to be hugging each other for a long time. Climb a little and stop and test, make sure everything's okay. Climb a little bit more, stop and test, make sure everything's okay.
Whenever the state finally does get back to normal, Governor Ige says the state government will no longer look the same as we move forward. Chelsea Davis, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Chelsea. The governor is also under pressure to shore up the state's finances. As our Keahi Tucker reports, the paychecks of thousands of workers hang in the balance.
Right now, the fate of Hawaii state workers may depend on what happens in the U.S. Congress, where Republicans and Democrats are divided over how to spend federal money.
Hawaii's economy is at a complete standstill.
With tourism on hold and more than a third of Hawaii's workforce out of work, the governor is on the hunt for $1.5 billion to meet the budget. But his proposal to cut state salaries by 20% got slammed. So the search continues.
Certainly we are looking at all available funds to avoid any pay cuts at all. Pay cuts would be the last resort.
Federal money is on everyone's wish list. The CARES Act gave the state nearly $900 million. But the governor says it's strictly for unemployment, small business relief, and health care. Congressman Ed Case told us there is some flexibility, though he's awaiting specifics from the Treasury Department. There's also the possibility of another federal stimulus bill, but Senator Mazie Hirono says it's become a political battle.
The other huge part of this is to help the state and local governments with their budget shortfalls.
Every senator is hearing from every governor about the need to do this, and that's why I'm somewhat hopeful that we'll be able to do something on a bipartisan basis.
Even if lawmakers strike a deal, Congress doesn't return to the Capitol until May 4th, at the earliest. And then there's the state's rainy day fund, holding more than $1 billion.
Governor, it's raining.
The governor's answer today? Maybe.
And we are in discussions to determine what is possible.
While state employees wait anxiously to find out what's possible, they might also daydream of living on Lanai. Not only does the island have no coronavirus cases, but its owner, Larry Ellison, the world's 5th richest person, is reportedly still paying every employee and waiving rents for businesses. Maui's mayor calls him a godsend. I'm Keahi Tucker, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Keahi. Kauai Mayor Derek Kawakami announced a new loan program to help those hit hard financially by the pandemic. Kawakami says the county is making $200,000 available. Individual loans up to $5,000 will have a 0% fixed rate and no fees. The county will be taking applications starting this Monday on its website. Well, at 37%, Hawaii has the highest unemployment rates in the country. Today, state lawmakers toured the claims office on Punch Bowl, which is currently closed to the public. This chart shows the spike in March as the tourism industry came to a grinding halt. As a number of claims level off, the state is now shifting its focus from approving to sending checks. And to get that done, lawmakers and some staff will start volunteering at the office next week.
Processing claims and to intaking filing so that we can get a handle on this critical mass and just reduce it and help get benefits out quickly.
We're applying for the line of credit now. We know we won't get denied by the U.S. Treasury, but we're going through the formalities of applying for it now.
The Labor Department today added an email specifically for those who had a claim denied. We have a link to it on our website, hawaiinewsnow.com. The city plans to restart homeless sweeps on Oahu next week. Areas will receive 24-hour notice. The city stopped the sweeps last month following CDC guidelines that homeless camps should not be removed unless housing units are available. Well, now the city has a small tent village near Ke'ehi Lagoon for homeless people to quarantine themselves. There is also the Ka'ahi facility in Iwilei. On Maui, health officials removed 2 men from the Kahale a Keola homeless shelter to place them in quarantine. We've confirmed one of those men tested positive for COVID-19. Both had been in isolation since being tested. We're told 9 staff members had contact with the 2 men, and they are now also in isolation. The shelter currently houses roughly 200 individuals. 764 people flew into Hawaii yesterday, including 105 visitors. On Maui, Mayor Mike Victorino says he's seen an uptick in visitors coming from Oahu and that 4 visitors were sent back home from the Valley Isle last week. On Oahu, Mayor Kirk Caldwell says airport screeners need to do a better job verifying information about exactly where visitors are staying to help track them. Meantime, a homeless woman from the mainland was arrested by Honolulu police today, accused of violating the state's 14-day travel quarantine. As Rick Daysog reports, the mayor says this proves the quarantine needs better enforcement.
So what's going on first?
We're placing you under arrest.
I'm under arrest?
Yeah, for violating the governor's rules and orders.
Arona Lopez recorded her own arrest near the IHS shelter today. She arrived from Phoenix on Monday and ignored the required 14-day quarantine. Instead, the aspiring social media comedian wound up at this homeless camp in Waimanalo. She angered nearby residents by posting videos about her living conditions.
I think it was selfish and irresponsible of her, you know, and then to blatantly disregard it on her social media platform was just unbelievable.
Waimanalo neighborhood board member Kukana Kamatoth was among the many Windward residents who were tracking Lopez's whereabouts on social media and urging police to arrest her.
I mean, she traveled all over the place, undetected, until it was brought to our attention, you know, which puts the lives of my community members at risk.
The mayor says she slipped through the cracks by listing a P.O. box for airport screeners instead of a real address, which no one checked out.
What should have happened when they did that is they shouldn't have been allowed out of the airport, and they should have been put on a flight back to the continent where this woman came from.
On her YouTube videos, Lopez says she has not been infected by the coronavirus and that she's the target of a cyberbullying campaign.
And I'm still abiding by the rules. I haven't been anywhere, haven't been out, nothing. I was in my tent. I went to get a shower. Same place I've been getting a shower, and there was no issue. They took my temperature, all of that. It was fine.
Because Lopez's bail has been set at just $500, the mayor and others worry that she'll be back living on the streets soon. Rick Daysog, Hawaii News Now.
More of Hawaii's National Guard members will be activated to help out on neighbor islands. After leaving the Kalailoa base, soldiers will help with medical screening, among other duties. The Guard has already deployed soldiers and gear to aid neighbor islands in combating the pandemic. Well, starting next Wednesday, any Oahu city bus or handy van rider not wearing a mask will not be allowed to board. The city says the measure is being taken to protect the health and safety of riders and drivers. Those exempt are riders 5 and under and those with respiratory conditions. Tomorrow, Department of Transportation Services crews will be distributing masks in roving patrols to riders in need at bus stops island-wide.
And it's a bit scary because then you never know who could be a carrier.
Coming up, the coronavirus fight through the eyes of someone on the front lines. Plus, a closer look inside a center stepping up to help the homeless during the pandemic. And free flights for neighbor island patients, the newly launched program when Hawaii's Most Watched News continues. Hey, Jen.
Coming up next in weather, we're tracking the trade wind flow